Bulavinaka, and welcome to Extra Time. The Coca-Cola Zero Deans National Semi-Finals will be played this Saturday at the ANZ Stadium in Suva. Ratukandabulevu School will be out to create history as they have qualified in all grades. Queen Victoria School is also on track to defend its title, but surprisingly, Cuvu College and St. John's College defied all the odds to reach the last four in the under-18 division. Also note that the Coca-Cola Zero Deans Rugby semi-finals will be streamed live to overseas viewers. There will be live coverage of 6 finals from the under-14 to the under-18 grades. And our coverage will begin at 8:30 on Saturday. You can watch the live coverage by subscribing. And joining me in studio tonight is Mr. Colati, the Vice President of the Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby Union, and also Mr. Lawrence Tikaram from the major sponsors of the Coke Zero Deans Rugby competition. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on Extra Time. We'll start with you, Mr. Colati. How did you see the quarterfinals last week?
I think last week's quarterfinals, as we had predicted earlier on, was probably one of the toughest quarterfinals. We could see that through the points that each team scored against each other, especially in the under-18 grades, the score margin was very less comparing that to previous years, and that means an exciting weekend this weekend.
Absolutely. Mr. Tikaram, how did you see the quarterfinals last week from a sponsor's point of view?
I think all in all, all teams that came to play at the Coke Zero Deans did incredibly well. I believe a lot of hard work was put in by all the teams. You may notice that the traditional champions of the Coke Zero Deans came out in full force, and they rightfully deserved to be there. There were newcomers that actually stamped a mark in the competition, and also those that didn't make it. But all in all, from the sponsors' point of view, I think we are quite grateful to the principals and the coaches, and especially the players who came to provide such a great champagne rugby over the one whole day. When you look at the number of games, 24 games with over 1,200 rugby players and about 150 officials to bring this together, it says a lot about how big the tournament has grown. And it has grown from strength to strength because of the hard work of the principals, the teachers, and of course the coaches and all scholars of all the participating teams.
And how's planning for logistics going this weekend?
We're having another debrief from last week's game, which will be held tomorrow. A planning committee which involve all the stakeholders. There are a few areas that we'd like to improve on in terms of logistics, just the minor things to ensure that come crunch time this Saturday at the ANZ Stadium, that all teams will come out firing. And of course, we have the stadium has been impeccable in terms of arrangements of what the stadium offers for the players. It held up quite well, and I must congratulate the staff of the Fiji Sports Council for doing a tremendous job in ensuring that the pitch, especially the main pitch, was well prepared for all the big games.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll just dig right into it. Let's just look at the under-14 semi-finals. We have QVS and Morris Brothers High School, RKS up against SGS. Your thoughts on that?
This semi-final can also be inter-zonal competition. It's between the Eastern Zone and the Southern Zone, which is a good reflection of the whole competition. I think it's going to under 14 is quite balanced compared to probably the other grades. Eastern Zone is well represented compared to the Southern. Unfortunately, Western Zone is not in there because they just did not take part in the under-14 competition.
In the under-15, we have RKS and Ratanovula, Lelin Memorial School and QVS.
Yeah, now you see that the Southern Zone has disappeared.
Yeah.
And that goes to show how the strength of these teams. The Southern Zone was represented in this grade, but none of them qualified. And we could see a Western team coming in. I think that should be a good mix for this Saturday's semi-finals.
Let's look at the under 16. It'll be Leline and Mars Brothers High School, RKS, and Matambo. So good to see the Western schools represented.
Yes. I think it's good to see the Western School Natambua coming in, and there's also a team coming from the south, while there are two from the east. So again, this is a good mix, as we could see. I think the spectators too would be. They'll be coming out in numbers as far as this grade is concerned, because all zones that are participating are represented in this grade.
Just talking about Ratanavula and Natambo, they seem to be the teams that have sort of really come up through the Western Division. Just talk about some, their progress through the years and how they've, developed over the years.
Yeah, I think both the schools are not new to the competition. Natambu of one was quite consistent in the Western Zone competition, as we were following their games through the season. I think all the teams actually qualified to the playoffs in the Western Division, and also Ratunavula. We were there when Natambua went over to Natambua went over to Ratunavula and beat Ratunavula at Ratunavula, and that was quite an achievement. But then during the playoffs, things changed. So I think their competition, the Western competition this year, reflects what is happening now.
And under 17, that should be exciting as well. We have RKS and Natambua, and then Leline will take on Fiji.
I think Leline will be out in force here, as they could not make it into the under 18 competition this year. To the Dean's competition. Maybe this would be their chance to showcase their talents here. I think it is quite new also for champion school like Leline to have not qualified this year. But that also goes on to show the strength of competition in the Eastern Zone.
Absolutely. Well, we'll just take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about the Coca-Cola Zero Deans semifinals.
Saraba na singing ringi ena Fiji 1. Ke tiko na mata se reka wina kata mando wakai tawi na programa ngiri mai na Fiji TV na namba na telefoni tolu saiva lima donan rau se diwa saiva rua saiva lima. Singing ringi ena wembongi ni lotu levo ena wemama ni diwa ena Fiji 1.
Na programa katarawa levo na munimbula. Ena bakuri tinga tala no bobo waro saravitali ena Fiji 1.
Brought to you by BSB Life.
Welcome back. You're watching Extra Time, and in studio with me tonight is Mr. Colati, the Vice President of the Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby Union, and Mr. Lawrence Tikaram, the major sponsors of the Coke Zero Deans Rugby competition. And also note that the Coca-Cola Zero Deans Rugby semi-finals will be streamed live to overseas viewers, and there will be live coverage of 6 finals from the under 14 to the under 18 grades. And our coverage will begin at 8:30 on Saturday. You can watch the live coverage by subscribing. Just going back to the competition, Mr. Colati, you mentioned, the under 18 competition was really exciting to see the quarterfinals last week. Semi-finals time as well be exciting. It's interesting to see that St. John's College and Cuvu College seem to be the dark horses this year.
Yeah, I think we all saw what these two teams are capable of. And I don't think it would be a good idea for either RKS or QVS to undermine any of these two teams. They are really good sides, and I must congratulate them for coming through. I think they displayed good rugby on Saturday, and I think they were deserving winners.
Yeah, and also just interesting to see that St. John's College, the players just seem to be very well conditioned this year. Just talk about some of the development in people, sort of helping out with St. John's College this year.
No, I think St. John's College, as far as what we have gathered, they have really used the rules of competition which we opened up this year, and that is to get technical experts from outside. I know that they are being helped out by a coach who is a teacher, school teacher, who was our assistant coach to last year's under-18 tour to New Zealand, but not teaching at the school, and he's helping out the team. And as far as training is concerned, they are also they have been helped by another teacher who is traveling right here from Suva across to. So those are things that we had agreed as far as the association is concerned for schools to start looking for experts to bring them into the competition. And I think we could all see what is now happening. I think the fruits of that is now being borne by St. John, and I think they should rightly be congratulated for that.
And also the Cuvu College, I guess, with the success of the Nandrunga provincial side, has that sort of filtered down to secondary school level?
Yeah, I think Cuvu College and also Nandrunga Rugby Union, they're doing something that we are probably wanting all unions in Fiji to do to secondary schools. We would like these bigger unions who are actually the bigger brothers of these boys playing in the secondary schools rugby to come back and help in schools. Teachers get transferred after 1 year or 2 years from school, and sometimes the teachers that are transferred are the main people who run rugby in schools, and that's why we need these union organization players maybe or whoever who can come into nearby schools and help out in this game, because we should know that no teacher is transferred to any school for sports. They go there to go and teach. It's just out of their love of the game that they do that, and I think the union should come and help, and that is one of the strengths of Cuvu rugby. Nandrunga Rugby Union is behind them, and we met up with the Nandrunga Rugby Union officials last Saturday, and I think I must thank them for helping Cuvu.
I guess it's also a win-win situation when we talk about pathways for these players moving on after secondary schools. Rugby, this could be a way for them to get drafted into the provincial side. Yeah,
maybe I think that is exactly what Nandrunga is doing, and I think they're on the right track.
Mr. Tikaram, in terms of sponsors' point of view, with two outside schools, sort of having a really good chance this time around, your thoughts on that?
The two schools, St. John and Cuvu, need to be congratulated. They put the hard yard in, and it's done over a period of time. It wasn't just done yesterday. And I believe most of this also was prepared last year during the off-season. So the off-season program is a very important part of development for secondary schools rugby. And having said that, I think the two schools, St. John and Cuvu Secondary, have taken advantage of the laws that have been changed to full capacity. And they should be congratulated for taking that avenue. But again, the infrastructure is there. The stepping stones of development does not start at secondary school, it starts at primary school. So you need to get those structures right. There is a saying, if you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. And a lot of the schools need to take heed of that. And I must say, a lot of the schools have prepared well, and that's where they are today. In terms of other assistance, I think in terms of management of the game itself, we would like to probably see a lot more in terms of the refereeing I think they did a tremendous job in the weekend. They should make more use of the big screen to reassure the public and, of course, to reassure themselves that the decisions they've made are the right ones when it comes to crucial decisions. But this is all part of development because it helps the wholesome approach to developing rugby at all levels. The ministry has also provided that support through the teachers been associated with getting the accreditation. It's something that all teachers should aspire to because we at the end of the day are the custodians of rugby at this point in time, and we need to ensure that we have the proper framework that support that. So it starts from primary schools and secondary schools, the infrastructures, allowing the technical expertise to come on board. Because we don't allow it, then we fail an objective of helping to develop secondary schools, and that's something I've always questioned in the past. Is if we fail to allow the framework to help us develop these ruggers, then we fail ourselves. So let's try and give them as much support as we can.
Well said. Well, we'll just take another break, and when we come back, we'll continue with Extra Time.
Saraba na singin ringi ena Fiji 1. Kia tiko na mata se reka wina kata mando wakai tawi na programa ngiri mai na Fiji TV na namba na telefoni tolu saiva lima donan rau se diwa saiva rua saiva lima. Singin ringi ena wembongi ni lotu levo ena wemama ni diwa ena Fiji 1.
Saraba karonga banando mamuni, may nandua kena rua na singa lebu ni moniti, kay na singa lebu ni lotu lebu and a Fiji 1. Daurang di kina na ulutanga yang ararambay so, and a lotu na matanitu kay na banua. Nando mamuni and a Fiji 1.
And welcome back. You're watching Extra Time as we continue our discussions about the Coca-Cola Zero Deans semi-finals this weekend. Mr. Colati, just talking about, we've talked at length about Cuvu College and St. John's College, but QVS as well. They're back this year to try and defend their title. And I guess very sad as well that they've lost a very influential coach. But your thoughts on them as well as RKS who have sort of pulled through this year?
Yeah, I think QVS and RKS are not new to this competition. Even if we do not mention them, they will still be the team to watch when it comes to this level of Dean's competition. I think they also lead in the number of years in which a school has been able to retain this trophy. So Dean's trophy is not new to the cabinets of these two schools, and the competition as a whole is not new to the supporters of this school, and that is probably a positive pressure maybe that I might term it as to the team. Both teams that are coming into this competition, RKS and QVS, know that they should take this trophy back, because that is the only thing that their supporters want them to take part. As I've said before, they should never undermine these two teams that are also playing this Saturday.
And the under-19 grade, it'll be Leline, Bar Pro, RKS, and Ratanapura.
I think the under-19 competition this year between Lilin and Bapro will also be an interesting game to watch. I think I've seen how Lilin has played, and but I have not seen Bar Provincial. I saw them in the other code, but I did not see them playing rugby, and I think that Bar Provincial will give Lilin a good run this Saturday. But as I've said, I've seen Lilin play, and they should match up to Bar Provincial Freebird Institute. RKS and Ratunavula, again RKS, not new to the competition, and Ratunavula also not new to the competition. So this must be a battle, and which we should see.
There's no doubt that there's exceptional talent that's on display in all the grades. In terms of the Fiji Secondary Schools Rugby Union, are you sort of keeping tabs or sort of a database on outstanding players in each of the grades?
Yeah, this year we were planning to name national teams for all grades, and we had asked FRU development officers to help us out in that. But first, we are going to name our under 16, the national under 16 and the national under 18 this Saturday. But for those who are going to be playing in the semi-final, the semi-final will be also their trials, which means that each child that wants to be in the national team for the under 18 and the under 16, their trials will be their game. So that puts a little bit of probably pressure on the boys when they're playing, because they'd like to show off the skills that they have to the selectors. And yes, we are keeping tab of all the good rugby players, and we would like to have national teams starting from under 14 right up to under 18.
I guess it's also preparation for the two national teams. Is it under 18 or under 19 that will be named after the competition?
Yes, we are going to be naming two national teams, and both these teams are going to be traveling over to Australia for games between. And the first team will be the under 16, and the second team will be under 18. We should be naming the teams after the finals next Saturday.
We've always had, over the years, sort of scouts always coming in, either in rugby league or rugby union, to look at talent. Is that the same this year? And is the Fiji Secondary School sort of giving professional advice to players on what to look out for in terms of signing contracts overseas?
Yeah, I think as far as contracts are concerned, Fiji secondary schools have almost no say on that, because the signing is normally done by the player, the parents, and whoever is coming over to sign. But fortunately, Fiji Rugby Union has got a unit now that looks after players, and I think it's led by Gail in Finakaso, and she comes in to advise players as to how maybe to read contracts and which contracts to take and which ones not to take. But as far as Fiji Secondary School is concerned, we have very little say in that. As soon as the parents agree, no one can say anything else apart from that. So.
And just looking at the games in the quarterfinals last weekend, it was interesting to see the referees, really coming down hard on sort of high tackles without the use of hands and all that. In terms of that particular area as well, will that be sort of policed well this weekend?
Yeah, I think as Lawrence has mentioned, we're having our debrief tomorrow, and also games committee meeting tomorrow, and the referees representative will be there, and all the grounds that were used on Saturday had match commissioners, and their reports are already there with us, and we are going to table those reports to the referees, and whatever that we think needs to be ironed out will be ironed out, and we will. And of course, there are lots and lots of proposals that we have for them every year, and maybe we are putting a lot of pressure on them, but I think it's best that we discuss that with them rather than getting all sorts of complaints after the games.
Okay. Well, we just have about 1 minute to go on the show. So, Mr. Tikaram, just your final words for the semi-finals this weekend?
Well, so I wish everyone the very best at the Coke Zero Deans. Again, it is by far Fiji's biggest rugby sporting event. We want the whole of Fiji to come on down. And again, I stress the importance of a team to engage with the media. You have fans out there, you have all scholars out there who need to be supporting your team. So do engage with the media to make it a very successful Coke Zero Deans semi-final. And of course, wish the teams the very best.
to encourage spectators, supporters of all teams to come out in numbers and support the semi-finals this week. And maybe I would like to also congratulate and maybe a well wish to all teams that have made it through to the semi-final, and may the best team win on Saturday.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on Extra Time tonight. Well, that's the show. Be sure to join us again next Wednesday, and all the best to the teams for this weekend's semi-finals, the Coke Zero Deans. Till then, have a great evening.